to do stuff for herself. So one less
Oh,
thing
good.
to worry about.
Yeah, but just one step at a time, I guess, eh?
Yeah. Well, here we are again, Webmasters Posse. Hello, Agnes. Thanks for showing up.
Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Life is good. I actually just got off the phone about an hour ago from partner number 6 coming into the solar business this Friday.
Oh, good.
And funny enough, as I stated in my Powur script 10 weeks ago, most of the people I'm recruiting either are in my immunotech business, were in somebody else's immunotech business, or are still taking and consuming that health product, because what we do here at Powur really does line up with the general health and well-being of everybody, including the people that are now no longer polluting directly, but all their neighbors and friends too. So I met Mark 10 years ago because we worked both at the same newspaper company. And when I met him, he could no longer afford to support the MLM of his choice, and he'd sworn off ever doing a network marketing company ever again. So when I saw him hop on my email list about 10 days ago, I was really surprised. When I looked and found out he'd opened 3 for 3 of my last 3 emails, and one of them 3 times, I knew he was interested. So when he called today, I was really excited. I know he's a nuts and bolts, sit in front of you kind of guy. And the really cool thing is he's well known and respected locally, and he's never marketed anything in the decade he's lived here. So he really does have a large, warm market.
Oh, good.
Um, and he seems passionate about the solar thing. Where he came from in Quebec, actually, a friend or a family member worked in one of the early solar plants like 20 years ago, producing the little panels that you used to be able to buy for like going camping, that were
Oh,
sold
okay.
at the Canadian Tire and stuff, the little 1 foot by 3 foot things, way back in the dawn of, when there was 5% efficient or something. So one of the videos I posted was on the new improvement with the solar material. The 4th generation solar panels have taken the return from 14 to 15% to over 22% return. So that's a huge transition, and in a lot of places it made the difference between whether solar would be economical within the 20-30 year plan or not. So it's a big difference when you know you're going to get 50% more power out of your tool than last year's model. It really does increase the profitability and the way that people can make and save money for everybody. I was actually, because of my winning the mini game changer position, invited on a call last night with only the people, 25 people that qualified, and one of the things being discussed was all the management honestly believed the product that would make all of us rich had not been invented yet. It's in design somewhere right now, and sometime in the next 3 to 5 years, that product that's not even on, physically exist yet will come to market. And at that point, it's going to just go crazy, because when we get to that product that's the new thing that nobody's ever seen before, we'll already all have established our grids selling the 4 or 5 things that have come up as the other Tesla products that already exist come to market. One of the things they're going to look at later this year, early next year, is a line of energy efficient home appliances. So everybody needs a new appliance every 8-10 years, and if you can offer the most efficient one on the planet to your already happy solar users that have their solar systems or their Tesla batteries or driving their Tesla cars, it's almost a no-brainer. Um, they're the biggest player in the game already, and they have enough products to keep us all busy for 5 years, even if they didn't never invent anything again.
So this is via Elon Musk's companies, you mean?
Yeah. One of the things that happened about 3 weeks ago, there was a member of the board of directors that sat down with the 2 leaders at Powur, and they were told that their delivery model was the future of delivery for all of solar coming out of the Tesla production system. Right now, the only way you can buy a car is from one of about 14 or 15 dealerships that are actually owned and operated by Tesla, or from somebody that's already bought the car. Because if you buy a Tesla S or a D, or whichever the X, I guess it's sport utility right now, you get the ability to sell them to other people, and
Oh,
you
I see.
you
Okay.
you can make a commission off selling them to other people. So each Tesla owner is actually a Tesla dealership franchise, and when the people buying the car really grasp that, it's going to change the car market.
Cool.
Because when people realize they can join this business and make $7,000 commission for selling themselves a Tesla, or their upline, or whoever's going to get paid on the sale, it's going to get people excited.
That's good.
Money doesn't
It's
have to go to
an
the
interesting
dealership.
way of doing business.
It's the future. We've already proven that people want to buy from people they like and trust. I think the markets have shown that if you're not involved in social media, you're going to be dead in 5 years if you're not already dead. Traditional advertising is no longer 50% of the playing field. I think that it was over a year ago that more than half of all sales were done online, and it just goes backwards from there for traditional marketing.
Well, and you're well aware of our local newspaper that is bulging with ads. And when it's really bulging, I don't even read the newspaper. I just toss the whole thing into recycle because I don't want to deal with the ads. So
I dump the ads out like this and then pick the pieces off the outside. I don't even open them. I don't want to engage that way. I deliberately go online and try to under purchase what I can get in town for if I'm doing anything worth more than $100.
Well, I was just recently on a call too that the guy was talking about, like in terms of growing your business, get rid of the time wasters. And what's a bigger time waster than going around to 3 stores to pick up your toilet paper and your toothpaste and all those things? And I guess all of the millionaires and multimillionaires and billionaires, they have all that on autopilot. They've got their monthly order in at Amazon or wherever.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's the old story of, every one of us, taking toilet paper for an example, and every one of us has run out of toilet paper at some point in time, and then you're scrambling, you stop what you're doing, you have to go down to the store, you have to, and that's a minimum half hour out of your day.
I got a lady.
So go ahead.
She's living right down the street now. For the last 10 years, she's been Delaney's Home Services, and her specialty is helping old people pre and post moving. So she doesn't move them, but she does everything but move them that they need done.
Yeah.
And on both ends, and it's that sort of services that are going to keep people working for decades. The friendly shoppers, or the granny on the run, or take the old folks to the grocery store. That's going to be more and more and more in demand as people want to do things for themselves and are unable to because they can't drive, or they can't see, or they can't hear.
Or conversely, for the sandwich generation who also don't have time to get mom and dad down to the grocery store. So, they hire the service.
Yeah, twice a week to take them out for an hour and do their running around.
Yeah, their appointments and all the rest of it. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's, it's convenience, but I think it's nice that we can still pick and choose which of those chores that we enjoy, and maintain that. But in terms of building a business, you like to free up a couple of hours a week is huge for some people.
Yeah, I'm facing that challenge right now. I'm just trying to work back in 8 hours a week of work back into my work week. And I realized that 8 hours will actually take up about a third of the time I've had to do things free of choice, which will actually put me in a position where I won't have any spare time till I sort out the schedule, because now I don't have enough hours in my work week to do everything I used to do. So some choices will have to be made because the regular income is there. Although, ironically, as Ange's income stabilizes, my income jumps up. I've got verification that my first solar customers had their pre-approval, and they'll be getting their contract signed here in the next week or 10 days, and I'll get my first pay from Powur within 90 days of signing up. It's going to be nice to get a check sometime before Christmas for $250 US.
Yeah, yeah, true.
I'm at break even as soon as I cash that check. Well, just about. I paid $299 US to get in. So if the US dollar's gone up, I might actually break even on that first transaction, and I still have half a pay coming from the other half if they keep the system. Ironically, I know the lady involved, and they're going to keep the system. Not only are they going to keep the system, they're going to use having the crew on site to record some of the installation process and actually talk to their their crew, like their
Mm.
people. And then
Mhm.
so we can introduce the people in her area to the actual crew that's going to do their install, because unless there's a problem with this crew, she's going to use them as her first choice for all of her installs, and just keep it in the family as close as possible. Um, I think it's genius. People, especially if they've already seen the person exposed as the professional, and that person shows up to do the job, there's just,
Oh, you
one
look
less.
at like people like Mike Holmes. You know, he's brought a few people into the limelight that have taken off with their own
Yeah,
companies.
world famous now. 2 years later or 3 years
Yeah.
later, like Brian Baumler, he started out as an assistant on Mike Holmes, right?
Oh, did he? Oh, okay. But yeah, so it's interesting. And I think too, like just in terms of the yous and the me's of the world, we need to sit back and that's what I've already done, is say, what is my biggest money making possibility out of those things that I want to do, and pursue that until the income is such that, like for me, then I will continue to develop out myself
Absolutely.
as the yeah. So yeah, and it sounds like Powur is going to be that for you.
I'm going to put my hand up tomorrow, actually, and say that I'd like to host 1 or 2 online meetings a week officially for the company as their spokesperson, and start training with Bobby Smith to do the new company story. I
Oh,
want to
good.
I want to put myself in front of this, so when people come to look at it, I'm part of the machine.
Yeah.
I know that's where I need to be to get the largest return on my investments, because when I came into when I got famous 2 years ago online, I had no idea how to monetize it, and I had no infrastructure in place to do that. Now I know how all those things work. I don't plan to make any of those mistakes this time. The people that, when people look around, they're looking for people that are experts in that space. So when I Googled a Powur thing today, my video came up number 3 and number 4 on Google for the Powur topic.
Oh, wow.
Just because it had been in the title of my video. And I'm thinking, all right, I'm already in the right place, because there's so few people talking about this Powur thing. There's about 20 of us maybe total on YouTube that even have channels related to Powur, and there might be 3 guys that have Powur specific channels. But they were people that were already into solar before they found out about Powur, so it makes sense that was already their niche.
And you've SEO'd yourself, like with Elon Musk and Solar City and all that stuff, have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got about 350 out of the 500 characters allowed, and they're all, it's Jonathan Budd, it's Solar City Installs, it's Powur with the U, it's Elon Musk, Solar City, Tesla S, those sort of. That's part of the reason why it showed up. I mean, 6 months ago, I knew what SEO was, but I didn't grasp how it was utilized, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know to go back now and to scatter the real words in between the using some of the keywords that you put in for your keywords for searching, so that they actually are in the video description. And I didn't know about that a year ago at all. I wouldn't even have known to do that.
Yeah.
Now when I do a post, I go search out YouTube videos that relate to it, and I actually use my it's not it's called Simply something, but it ranks websites. So I'm looking for websites in the top 1,000 or 5,000 in their space, and then I'll use their video as an example in my post, but only if they rank higher than I do. I didn't know that you only wanted to rank to high ranking sites or how to check sites, because I now have 2 tools in my toolbar on my desktop that I can just click up and get some idea whether the people are famous already or not.
Yeah, that's good.
I was looking the other day for access to the story. They stopped 2 feet from gold, and
Oh,
ended up
okay.
founding an approved channel from the author that was ranked 262 in the world. So that was the YouTube video I put in my post, because to find anything under 1,000 is just amazing. You get a hard link on. It's like, wow, it's like number 3 I checked. I'm like, all right, got a winner. Been using
Oh,
it
that's
once a
good.
month now.
So do you have someone breaking into your house?
That would be my daughter Bianca returning with my grandson, who she was early dismissal day, and that would be her greeter.
Oh, there
We
you
have
go.
a 14-month-old Pomeranian that comes with Bianca when she comes to visit or babysit, and the dog insists on barking at everybody, including its mother, when she comes and goes. If the dog is not sleeping at 3:30 in the morning when I'm going out to do papers, the dog will bark at me from behind the door.
Oh no. Yeah, I
Uh,
must admit I'm not big on barky dogs.
it's a yapper. When I was growing up, we called them hunt dogs.
I was being polite. I was being polite.
No, I don't do that anymore. I refuse to be politically correct. I've told her that if it doesn't stop soon, I'm just going to throttle it. The hairy rat is really, although crazy enough, the dog's worth about $2,000 now between the buying and the vet bills and all the special stuff the
Yeah,
dog
but
needs.
could you get 2,000 if you were to sell it is the question.
You couldn't get $100 as far as I'm concerned, but
Yeah, right.
I don't care if it's purebred and papered. I think it's a yap.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's starting to grow in me now because I have no choice at all. And if I didn't, I would have throttled it. But like right now, it's just. But
So you're not going to go out in the hall in case you drop kick it.
well, I don't want the grandson seeing that sort of violence. If I'd been smarter, I would have closed the door. But I'd forgotten the dog would go off as soon as his mom came back in the house. Actually, it's probably because Xander's there. Well, the dog's just over a year, so it's about 8 years old. Xander's just about 6. So there's a boy and a girl about the same age vying for the attention of the adult present. You understand the dynamic, right?
Yeah, right. I'd put them both in their rooms.
Yeah, and actually, if you did it together, they'd be okay. The dog is okay with either kid, but when both grandkids are there with the dog, it's not a good thing.
Oh, isn't that funny, eh? Huh?
Too much going on. The dog can't stay comfortably aware of both of them because they're jumping around, moving around, and the dog gets really freaked out once it's trapped or thinks it's trapped. Like
Yeah. Oh, a lot of
it's a
smaller
small
dogs
animal,
too.
right?
They're nervous around children too. So,
Well, and there
but,
you go.
so at
But
what point in
one-on-one
time
is
are you
great.
going to? Oh, okay. At what point in time are you going to try to figure out a new time
I was
for
hoping more
this?
people would show up today so we could talk about it. I'm gonna have to write an email and send it out to everybody of interest.
Would an evening work for anybody?
I An evening could very well work for me on a Wednesday or Friday. It would have to be 6 or 7 o'clock because I don't want it to be late. Some people are back east, so 8 o'clock is sort of 11 for them, and that's the latest they ever want to. And for me, I'm thinking we might want to go with a half hour in the evening until we start having new people show up and there's a growing need for it. I think a half an hour catch up once a week would be just great. I like all the people involved, but I think part of the problem is it's an hour. I know that Chris has got a lot of stuff going on. She's actually hosting bursts daily training 3 or 4 times a week right now.
Holy moly.
So she's being groomed and doing that work to fill his role and to take over that sort of position, which I'm really happy for her that she found somebody that could actually show her how it really works. I think it really does take working with somebody that has made money doing what they're showing you for 6 months to a year to really grasp the steps involved in the process. I mean, you know, I mean, you work with some of the best people around and you just can't get it all the first time.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
I'm starting to feel that way about the people at Powur, partly because of my position to Jonathan and the company and the fact that one of my downlines already got household welcome. I'm now been asked to start hosting online meetings because that's the next thing they want to do is get a daily meeting going somewhere so people can be sent to, a real webinar once a day sort of thing. It's the next goal.
Okay. So you would just have to have a full working knowledge then of the company or of solar or?
No, they've got a new 13-minute fast presentation that Jimmy Smith has been working on. He's the new field trainer of marketing. He
Okay.
came in about 2 weeks ago. He'd done a decade in some famous network marketing company, and then he did 10 years as running a cancer charity. And now he's back in the business world with this Powur project, sort of to, I don't know, to make his money as well as to do some good and to share what he learned in those two processes. Like he says, if you can make the money for the cancer business, you've got some things to share with the real business world that they wish he'd known them when he was in business the first time. But he's a pretty cool guy. He came in a week, and he in less than a week he fully grasped the concepts. He was out in public explaining them.
Oh, okay.
It's just one of those guys. He's a professional speaker, and he knows business. 21 years or 22 years of making like $100,000+ a year, either in wages or, however that whole pay thing was worked out. Successfully marketing stuff, but he seems to have a real. He likes to get people involved in the process, and that's something I like. And I
Yeah.
really want to reach out early and get to work with him. I think that maybe in as little as 8 or 10 hours, I can learn what he does and how he does the company presentation, and that would set me free. Just
Well,
the
as soon as you let people take ownership for part of the process, then they step up to the plate and really give their all.
absolutely. And I was not 100% committed till Monday, but when 3 people got it together in 6 hours, I convinced myself. You always think it can work, but until it does work, you just don't really believe it, if that makes sense. Like,
Well, you have to take credit for making the call for me.
well, and honestly, Agnes, I made the call for each person, but that was the difference. They trusted me. I said it was important, and if they could, they did. But it took me 3 years to develop some of those relationships, and some of those relationships I've had for 10 or 15 years. So it's going to get a little bit harder really quick here because I've already recruited half my really warm market. But I've noticed in the last 2 weeks, I'm starting to attract 3 or 4 followers or friends on social media a day. But these people are coming in and they have 10,000 followers, sort of thing. They're established in some form of marketing their business, and business models I'm not
You've
even
been
familiar
invaded.
with. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. It's a busy house over there.
Yes, I have 3 grandchildren home now and a daughter who really doesn't want to be watching them.
Well, we don't have to go the whole hour here, so yeah,
Come on, Brooke, to the proper one.
She's back. Thanks, Bianca. We got a couple of minutes now.
Come on,
silence is golden.
Yes, it is. The kids don't understand that. They get in my car to use it maybe once or twice a week, and everything's turned off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny too, and I notice that now here because I'm, alone all day working. Is like to invade that space, like listening to your space. I was getting tired. So it's funny how you just get used to
Well, I
the
have
focus, I
headphones
guess.
for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
And my job takes me out of the house 4 hours at a time, where I'm in my quiet little car. And the only thing I might play, maybe an hour in the morning, I'll be playing something that's mindset or training.
Oh,
But
okay, yeah.
my first 2 hours of the day, I observe silence, and it's just the sound of the fan, and there's no other noise other than the occasional squeak of wet brakes.
Well, it's interesting too, and I've noticed that, like, I used to do the same, like with my walking, or when I had my own paper route and I was out for an hour in the morning delivering papers. Is I couldn't imagine putting earbuds in. Like, I loved the solitude and the silence. And everywhere you go now, you never see people alone hardly without something in their ears. And I even see people walking together, each with different things in their ears, like they're not even conversing.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's kind of sad. Like, we just can't. be with ourselves or be in small groups anymore, it seems.
Well, it is truly sad because honestly, it's the last breakdown of the tribal bond.
Explain.
Well, for 100,000 years, mankind as a civilization lived in tribal groups. You knew the name of everybody in the tribe. Everybody in the tribe contributed something. Everybody in the tribe had a place. Well, as society grows and grows and grows, and technology and communications expand and expand and expand, and the world becomes open to everybody, we lose those unique bonds. But what we don't realize is the one we're talking about, which is the interpersonal, the spending time in each other's space and in actually just enjoying somebody else for the spending time with them, is one of the most important things to man's emotional psyche and well-being. And it's in that final disconnect that we may lose ourselves as a society. We've already disconnected from the planet. Part of the problem with the whole pollution solution, 2 weeks ago at Toastmasters, the theme was pollution, ironically, and it went around the table for table topics. And one of the people at the table, who was a retired professional educator with a master's, said, as far as she was concerned, that there is no way that the evidence proves mankind's responsible for climate change.
Oh my goodness. Well, and interestingly, even something as simple as I just mentioned that, I'm putting together this banquet for Special O, and, it's going to be a huge amount of food, and it's good food, it's rich food. So we decided, instead of loading these people with developmental issues up on more sugar with pop, we would just go water.
Yeah.
So one of the women said, okay, well, phone Pure and Simple and see if they will supply us with a cooler and a couple of large bottles.
Yeah.
And one woman said, well, why don't we just buy bottled water? And both of us looked at her and said, because then we've got like a couple of 100 bottles to dispose of. And it was like, so? And just, she did not get it. And it was so interesting just watching that. But yeah, I guess, people, they live in the same world, but they don't live in the same world, which is what's kind of strange.
Ironically, these people have been in the health business for 20 years, and they preach that you have to filter your water.
Oh.
And the husband's now really ill with heart disease, and they keep taking the supplements that left him with heart disease, and they don't want to look at what I do, even though I've had this amazing recovery on what I take, because they think their supplement's the only one that works. But if it worked, he wouldn't be dying from heart disease in his late 60s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny.
It just blows my mind. Like, I had the deepest respect for them, but both of them managed to sabotage that in the last 2 weeks. I ran into him in emergency yesterday while I was delivering papers, and it wasn't the same guy talking to me anymore. He's just so far down that tunnel. I felt uncomfortable.
Isn't that funny?
Part of the reason I left the Comox Mall is when I became more healthy, I couldn't spend that much time around sick old people.
Yeah.
I had been comfortable there when I was dying, and I didn't know why I was so comfortable, but it was because we were all close to death.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. I mean, speaking of the hospital, how many both sick people and staff you see outside the door smoking? Like, that sort of stuff just slays me. The other thing that I noticed online, it was on Facebook, is a friend of mine posted, it was one of those memes that was about the disconnect and how nobody knows their neighbors anymore. And do you remember the good old days,
Yeah.
And I actually commented and I said, no, I said, as a matter of fact, I love my neighborhood. I said, I meet my neighbors on the street for wine. I said, we talk over the fence constantly. I said, we get together for different things. I said, no, I mean, I know a lot of my neighbors and I really love my neighborhood. She came back on and said, yeah, my neighborhood's like that too. And I went, well, why did you post that in the first place?
It wasn't true.
to promote the negative if it's not true in your life. Like, people are just going to think that it's more acceptable because it's posted yet again. And people just don't think, I guess. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing with enlightenment. Once you get it, you don't understand why you never got it, but you also don't understand why they don't get it.
Yeah, I
You've made the
guess.
jump. You've made the jump. Um, I used to have this problem. I couldn't support anything that I hadn't been paid from. Well, the truth is, that was my choice and not true for everybody. But I made it everybody's truth by not letting them look at things that I hadn't had work for me.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? It was
Yeah.
personal bias. Until I overcame it, there was no business growth, because until you realize that everything has something to offer used at the right time or place, uh, you're not going to get that from other people. One of the biggest enlightenments for this year is you get what you think about, partly because if you say it out loud, you're actually hearing it twice, because you have one mouth and two ears. So be careful what you say, because if it's true for you.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So when I published 10 weeks ago that I was going to be the Canadian Powur guy, and 10 weeks later I am, it's like this stuff does work, but it only works because two things. I was committed to it working, and I didn't worry about how that would happen. I just
Yeah.
kept talking and talking and talking and talking and talking about exactly the same thing consistently for almost 90 days, and I brought it into my reality. But literally, even up to noon that day, I was almost despondent for the last 2 days, because I saw this opportunity, looming on the horizon, and I had one person that so far. Like,
Yeah.
even that day, it wasn't until Robin came up with the position number 3 that I even looked at my budget and figured out what we had worked out between us. And then, it just sort of all quickly came together when I had to buy 1 seat out of 5, and if it sets me up for the next year, that's cheap and inexpensive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I couldn't not do it, especially when the universe has provided us with regular increases in our income for the last 90 days. Every time we get paid, and Angie's new paper payday ends up opposite mine, so we get paid every Wednesday from papers.
Oh, good. That's ideal.
That's really
So
cool.
I'm auditing somebody's class here. Let me just see if I can find something that hit home the other day. It's called Missing the Boat.
Oh.
It is not so much that the boat passed and you failed to notice it. It is more like the boat stopping directly outside your bedroom window, the captain blowing the signal horn, the band playing a rousing march. The boat shouted, waving bright flags, its silver hull blinding in the sunlight. But you had this idea you were going by train. You kept checking the timetable, digging for tracks, and the boat got tired of you, so pulled up at the anchor and raised the ramp. The boat bobbed into the distance, shrinking like a toy, at which point you probably realized you had always loved the sea. And I
Yep.
just wonder how many people live that life, of getting some idea in their head and missing an opportunity that they would have loved.
Well, it's the same thing with people that live for the future or in the past.
Yeah.
I get happier every day, not because my life's getting better, but because I'm getting happier. And because I'm happier, my life is getting better.
Unlike my parents, who used to argue as to whether that incident they're discussing that happened 35 years ago happened at 10 to 2 or 10 after 2. And it was just like, pardon?
Well, unfortunately, we've been brainwashed and trained by the system that exists, and the system exists to separate us from our own unique power and give away that power to some expert that tells us how it works, or what we should do, or how we should act, or how we should come to understand what was just explained to it. I think the stupidest thing in the world is after a political debate, the commentators come on and explain to you what you just heard. Well, if I was listening or paying attention at all, I wouldn't need somebody to explain to me what I just heard, unless, of course, I was a brainwashed idiot who just couldn't understand anything.
Well, except they've got to justify their own paycheck, don't they?
It's like the professional players, sports players. Please don't get me started.
Yeah, so, well, it's only upwards from here. That's the good news.
Absolutely. I can't believe that number 6 called me and I didn't even have to look. They were already on my list.
Oh, there you go. Good, good.
The call this morning was, I'm looking at this Powur thing. I said, that's good news, Mark. I appreciate people checking out my stuff and what I'm involved in. He says, you know, I think I want to get involved. That's good, Mark. What does your schedule look like? He says, well, I got time on a Friday. Friday is good for me. Actually, Friday or Monday are my preferred days to see people, meet people. I don't have any paper responsibilities. It's sort of fair game, except for around 2 when I pick up my grandson. He says, oh, yeah, I can see that. And we settled on 11. I'm going to explain to him how it works. He'll probably sign up before he leaves here. It's just, it's so different from anything else that struck him immediately. Unfortunately for me, the first video he watched was the one where I explained that most MLMs have this problem, and that is they pay you 5 or 10% of the retail. And he knew that was the problem. So when he found out we got paid 50 cents on the dollar and the override was another 20%, yeah, that's kind of exciting.
Well, it's something that you can get your teeth into too. Like the problem I have with, skincare and nutritionals and, so many things out there is there are a lot of good companies, and I cannot seriously stand up and say, no, this is the only solution for you, because there are several, reputable companies out there. And whereas, like this at least it's the environment and it's the only one of its sort that I know of, that sort of thing.
It's the only one that's publicly available to the general public that isn't promoted by a corporation that's already involved in dirty pool.
Yeah, right. And earning 99 cents on that dollar.
That's right. So if this company's going to share half their marketing revenue with us, that excites me, because nobody else has offered. Facebook didn't cut me a check because I've got 1,000 followers and that's worth $100 a month.
Well, he can't afford to now. He's donating all that money to the world. You want Mark Zuckerberg in your downline.
That could be exciting.
It would be more than exciting.
Yeah.
But,
I think my next project actually is going to be to look up California building associations.
oh, okay. Well, it's the old story, of putting yourself out there. What's the worst possible scenario? They say no.
Absolutely.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Yeah.
And so far, I've got over 50% of the people I've actually had conversations this close with saying yes. So it's just a matter of getting them to stop long enough to listen now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting too. This little class that I'm auditing has sort of spurred me on to, like, I'm going to keep on promoting SFM because it too pays well, and over 50% in some cases. But I'm going to start designing my own high-end coaching. Like, I'm not going to sell my time for $100 an hour or 150 an hour. I'm just going for the big leagues, and yeah. And there's a market. There's always a market.
Well, and you will get what you expect. If you expect $100, you're only ever going to make that ever. Period.
Yeah.
You may only make 75 because you would accept 100.
Yeah. And you're up at 6 o'clock, in the morning for a client that may or may not show up.
Well, ironically, about 6 months ago, I made a mind movie, and in the mind movie, I put in I was going to make $10,000 a week. Well, the hero promotion in this company pays $500,000 bonus.
Oh, there you go.
Paid out at $10,000 a week.
Oh, good. Well,
and
there you go.
This company didn't exist when I put that in my video.
Oh, isn't that funny?
I also used 4 different sunrises, and twice I used some comment related to the future's brighter.
There you go. You're putting yourself out there.
Yeah, just coming back. But, it took 3 years to get past the fact that I always thought it had to come from the health product that saved my life. Now that isn't part of the criteria, all sorts of opportunities abound.
Well, the thing is too, I mean, even looking at it from the Immunical's angle is, you know, as you have more and more people come into your life, you know, at some point in time, it could be that they will say, if I only had your energy, you know, or
Yeah,
you're
how do
so
you
healthy.
keep going? Yeah, you've
Yeah,
been
you
here
know,
for a
so
year. You haven't been sick once.
they've just opened the door to that conversation, you know, so multiple streams of income.
And ironically, in my script, I said exactly that. That it was in the new conversation of explaining to people what power was that they asked me what I used to do before I had the power opportunity, and then I get to tell them because they've asked me, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, this might be a good note to end on.
I
Positive,
think we're
positive,
there.
positive.
Yeah, you have a great week, Agnes, and we will talk soon, my friend.
Alrighty, and yeah, keep me in the loop and let me know what comes down with new timing.
Absolutely. You'll be the second or third person to know.
Alrighty.
Take care,
See you
Agnes.
later, Michael. Bye.
Bye.